8:46, we welcome you back in this morning. Well, for the first time in more than 4 decades, Jehovah's Witnesses won't be meeting at the BJCC for their annual regional convention. Of course, COVID-19 forced the change, but this year's convention is free. It's online this year, which is a historic move. This year's convention theme is joy, certainly something we can all use during this time. And joining us through Skype this morning is Robert Hendricks. He is the U.S. spokesperson for the Jehovah's Witnesses. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. Good to see you. Interesting that the theme of this year's convention is joy. Always rejoice, I understand, is the actual theme. So how did that come about? And it is chosen actually a few years ago, right?
Indeed, yeah. So it's interesting, but it's really no mistake. When you think about what we're going through now, it's so appropriate. Some years ago, it was decided that this year's theme would be Always Rejoice. In fact, even a feature film was put together, written and produced to debut at this convention called The Joy of Jehovah is Your Stronghold. And we feel like, that's the way God works. It's a blessing to the world to be able to really just immerse ourselves for 6 weekends of this summer, at a time when this pandemic is really affecting our lives in a dramatic way. And just to think about how we can maintain joy amidst this pandemic, even while everything is crumbling around us, and still have the joy of God in our hearts.
Well, like part of the joy is gathering, and we all know that that has not been able to take place. Many religious organizations had to stop gathering at places of worship when the pandemic really kicked in. So what's it been like for the last 6 months for you and your faith, especially preparing for a convention that is such a major part of the faith?
Well, it's interesting because when we first closed all of our Kingdom Halls, those are our religious buildings around the United States branch, for the 13,000 congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses, and we also suspended our public ministry in March. This is the first time in our history that we've done that. And we did it based upon two well-known Bible principles, Christian principles. First of all, the sanctity of life, how God views life and how we view life, that life is much more important than it really transcends the desire to meet together in person. And then also Jesus' second commandment, which is love your neighbor. And we knew that it wouldn't really show neighborly love by knocking on people's doors. But we still wanted to maintain our gospel. We still wanted to maintain our meeting together. And so meeting virtually has really been a blessing because in many ways we've embraced many more. Those who were disabled, those who were not able to be with us because of health reasons, those who may not have wanted to come into our building or our Kingdom Hall are now joining us. And we have very robust discussions virtually, mostly on Zoom. All 13,000 congregations are having meetings twice a week, and we all are meeting and unitedly for this convention. Also, we're meeting together each weekend. We're having a robust spiritual discussion. We're then watching it and then coming back and then talking about the contents of this beautiful convention, about how we can, as God's people, remain joyful.
And this is going to be reaching people all around the world, I understand. And give us an idea of what the program will be like. What will people see as they join this virtually?
Well, you're right. This convention typically is live in 240 lands around the world, the same convention in all of those languages. So it is, we would call it really a modern day miracle, because when we decided in April to cancel our conventions, our live conventions around the world, we had to then record all the content and then transcribe it and then translate it into 511 languages. It's kind of like the first miracle of those who were anointed at Pentecost, the gift of tongues. And now it can be accessed in 511 languages, 58 sign languages, by just going to jw.org, either streaming it or downloading it. There's no paywall, there's no cost, it's anonymous. As Jesus said, you receive free, give free.
Well, all right, before we wrap up with you, I do want to talk about this. One of the main features I know of the convention is baptism. So how did COVID change the way baptisms are done as well? And this is some video here. We're looking at a video of a father baptizing his own son.
Typically, as you know, at the BJCC, we have the baptism pool right in the arena floor. And that's a blessing for everybody to be able to see as a highlight of the convention. But obviously, it's not something we're going to do. So tens of thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses, tens of thousands of those who wanted to become Jehovah's Witnesses dedicated their lives to God. And it was done in private, family baptisms, fathers who were baptizing their sons and daughters, as well as those others using safe distances as well as PPE, baptizing in private baptisms all around the world. And we were able to Zoom many of them or Skype them, and it was a beautiful thing. So we got it done, even though we're in the face of this pandemic, and it had its usual emotional effect on many of us.
Well, we could certainly use a little joy. Robert Hendricks, thank you, Robert. Thank you for being with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.